For your early stage SaaS business, and let's just say early stage is 0 to say 10 million ARR. 10 million ARR, you're no longer early stage. For that stage, there's 3 critical phases that you go through, especially when it comes to your go-to-market strategy, when it comes to your go-to-market process. The 3 stages are, first, you do completely unscalable things. You don't have anything that's scalable. Then you have the second stage where it's like kind of scalable. It's a mix of completely unscalable things and some scalable things. And then you get the truly scalable go-to-market machine and go-to-market strategy. Now, here's the thing. You don't ever quite know which stage you should be in and when you should scale and when you should not. I've scaled too early, and that was a mistake. And there were times where I fell behind in pushing aggressively to scale, and that was a mistake too. And I learned those lessons the hard way. So here's the big question. How do you know what phase you should be in, when you should be pushing on scaling, when you should be actually forcing yourself to do the unscalable things? How do you navigate this path? How do you navigate this path through these 3 stages in the go-to-market process? So that's what we're going to dig into in this episode. I'm going to walk you through the 3 stages, how to think about them, how to navigate them, so you can accelerate the growth of your SaaS business without scaling too early or scaling too late. Intro. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Unstoppable. I'm TK, and on this channel, I help SaaS founders like you grow your SaaS businesses faster with an unstoppable strategy. Now, if you are new to this channel, welcome. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and that bell icon because I drop a video like this with actionable strategies to grow 2 to 3 times a week with the TK energy. Now, if you're already part of this channel, welcome back. If you're part of my SaaS go-to-market coaching program, double welcome back. It's really awesome to see you over here. When we were scaling ToutApp, my last SaaS business, we started in the sales engagement space. We went through some critical inflection points from 0 to revenues to exit. Now, in that journey, I learned the hard way that there are times where you actually have to force yourself to do the unscalable things. And there are times where you really need to scale as hard as possible. And it's not always obvious which way to go. I learned it the hard way. So in this episode, I'm going to walk you through the 3 stages you're going to go through and how to think about when you need to do the unscalable things versus the scalable things and what you do in between. So if you're excited to dig in, go ahead and smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. It really likes it when you do that. It means a lot to us when you do that. And then let's go into principle number 1, stage number 1. Stage number 1 is you are doing the completely unscalable go-to-market. First of all, what is this stage? Generally, this stage, from everything that I've seen with the 50 plus SaaS founders that I coach inside of my go-to-market program, and another probably 25, 30 of them in my new Sas Launch Program, 0 to 10K MRR, you're still doing a lot of the unscalable things. That's kind of how it goes. You're doing completely unscalable things, and the idea is that you're doing the unscalable things so you know what to scale. And a lot of times, and I've been guilty of this also, founders go in and want to scale really quickly and start doing all the channels, all the activities, but the problem is they don't have their value proposition fully nailed yet. They haven't fully validated it yet. Something magical happens at 10K MRR. Enough people and enough customers you've talked to or have seen your product, if you get to that point, you've validated your value proposition. You've gone through enough of the iterations where you kind of know what your true value proposition is, what the true urgent and important problem is. Until then, you're still kind of guessing. And if you start to scale too fast, you're in this giant convincing game and you may not know why no one's paying attention. It's because you haven't really validated your value props. You have to do completely unscalable things on stage number 1. And generally speaking, you want to think about 0 to 10K MRR. And as you're doing this, you're really, really validating your value proposition. That's stage number 1 in your go-to-market machine. The second stage, and this is the most awkward stage as you go from your Shawshank crawl from idea to product market fit and that 10 million ARR. This is like the most awkward phase, the worst phase. This is your kind of scalable, kind of repeatable stage. This is the most technical term I could find for it because it truly is it's just this like giant kinda, because it's still in this middle zone and you're not fully out yet. And the revenue stage for this is roughly 10K MRR. You're trying to go from 10K MRR to 100K MRR, or really that 1 million ARR stage. That's what you're trying to get to. And as you're trying to get to that stage, if you try to scale too quickly, again, you might actually scale too fast and you might not really hit it because you don't fully really know. Like, yeah, you got to 10K MRR, but there's not enough people that you've stress tested this value proposition on, this messaging on. So The real thing you're really trying to do here is you're trying to get more data and you're trying to really nail down your positioning, your core messaging. The reason you want to do unscalable things here still is because there's not enough systems and processes to really know. There's some qualitative judgment required to actually understand, okay, we're talking to way more people. Is this hitting? Is this not? Is the TAM big enough? And so therefore you actually can't go full on scale. So what's an example of this? Like, well, if you're still in this stage, if you are going aggressive on outbound emailing, aggressive on ads, but you're not putting yourself in the conversation at the end, you're trying to put them into a webinar or a free trial, that might actually be to your detriment. That's too much scaling. Because what's happening here is that you're piping all these people through this scalable machine and they might hit a wall, they might not move, you might not see the revenue, but you don't know why. And so it's super important that you still do the unscalable things at this stage in the sales side, in the onboarding side, and the product side, so that you really, really get more data and actually nail the positioning and the messaging. That's super important. What's the difference between phase 1 and phase 2? The best way I can describe it is in phase 1, you're doing everything manual, everything unscalable, from pipeline generation, lead generation to closing. On phase number 2, you can start to scale some of the things around lead generation, on how people get their attention. You can start to spin up more channels, but you still have humans, yourself or others in your team, in the sales process or the onboarding process. Depending on whether you're product-led growth, self-service growth, or sales-driven, you still want human beings to really start to talk to these people and really, really validate the messaging, the positioning, and how they're reacting to things and drive that close. What this will allow you to do is really strengthen some of the key strategic pieces we always talk about. This is your ideal customer profile. This is your value proposition. This is the messaging, the strategic narrative. All these things start to get validated because you're in there and you're getting more and more people. So that's your second stage, which is your kind of scalable. If you go directly to scalable and remove yourself from this process, then you might actually hit a wall because you will not be able to validate it with more people, validate your core strategic messaging and positioning and all those pieces that are super important and it hasn't fully been proven out yet. Okay, so now we're gonna talk about the third stage and when you make the switch and why. But before I do that, before I go into the third stage, let me just pause here for a second. Are you starting to see the power in this? This is one of the toughest things as founders to grapple. In order to get to scale, you have to do a whole bunch of unscalable things. And it sounds counterintuitive, right? Like we want to build incredibly scalable businesses. We want to go after huge TAMs, but you have to understand that duality. You have to understand that in order to do that, you have to do very, very small things, very unscalable things, so that you earn the right to scale, so that you know what to scale, what to turn up on the dial. That's super important. If you're starting to see the power in this, go ahead and smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. And can I just also get a yes in the comments below so I can hear from you? The YouTube algorithm loves it when you smash that like button. So do we. We put a lot of love into these videos. And when we hear from you in the comments, it just makes our day. And I respond to every single one myself. Also, if you're in this stage where you're building out your go-to-market process, your go-to-market strategy, you're driving growth in the early stage, and you want a framework to follow on how to navigate this path, this is why I created my coaching programs. So I'll tell you more about my coaching programs all the way to the end. But right now, let's go to stage number 3, and how do you know you can go from stage 2 to stage 3? Stage 3 kicks in once you hit that million ARR or 100K MRR, and you're ready to get to 3 million. That's the next inflection point, right? And in this case, what you're really doing is once you've hit this inflection point, that means you've talked to enough people, dealt with enough people, stress tested with enough people, and you really, really know and validated your ICP, your core messaging, your manifesto. And so now what you're really saying is, okay, let's fully solidify that and lean into that in your ICP. Let's fully lean into that in my manifesto. And let's now really lean into scale, meaning let's spin up ads. Let's really scale up outbound. Let's take ourselves out of the process and start to automate those pieces a little bit more. Maybe there's a webinar we throw. Maybe there's a well-defined video, training video. Maybe there's purely product-led growth, and then we take it in the back end. Maybe it's still a salesperson, but you can start to hire more salespeople. This is where true scale really comes into play. But the only reason you're doing this, you're graduating from number 2 to number 3, is because there's enough revenue there to validate your thesis around your messaging, your positioning, your ideal customer profile, and that allows you to scale. So to recap, number 1, when you're sub 10K MRR, you're doing all the completely and utterly unscalable things. That's just what it takes, so that you can really validate your value prop, really validate your messaging, and really validate your positioning, all those pieces. And then once you get to 10K, you're switching. You don't want to scale too early, so you're kind of doing the scalable thing, right? And still doing a lot of the unscalable things. You're doing a lot more unscalable things on the back end. You're doing some more scalable things on the front end when you're generating leads, and and to actually convert them to revenue, activate them, you're still keeping it very unscalable. And then once you get to the 100K MRR, then you switch to much more scale, so you can get to 3 million or 250K MRR, and that's when you start to scale all aspects of the business. That's how to think about it. That's how you make sure that you don't start to scale too late in the game and give up growth. You also make sure that you don't scale too early and just kind of flail out of control, even though you were doing well when you were doing the unscalable things. Is it hard work? Absolutely. But I promise you, if you do the hard work on the unscalable things, the scaling becomes a lot more manageable. The scaling becomes a lot more effective, and you make less mistakes on the scale. It requires less money on the scaling. And that's where the power really comes. So that's what I had for you today. Those are the 3 stages as you're building out your go-to-market process, and the 3 critical phases that you go through as you are navigating this path to a scalable SaaS business. Now, if you're in this stage where you're building out your go-to-market strategy, and you want a proven framework to follow, you want to reduce the execution risk. Maybe you have questions around, well, how do we develop our value proposition or our messaging or our positioning or our ideal customer profile? Or how do we navigate this path on being completely unscalable or getting to this, what is this kind of scalable? This is why I created my go-to-market coaching program. Inside of my SaaS go-to-market coaching program, I actually give you the framework to follow to actually build all these pieces out. And I also give you the coaching to help you navigate that path, because I've done it before. So if you're interested in learning more about that, just go to tkkader.com/GTM, tkkader.com/GTM. Now over there, you'll see our GTM program. Our GTM program is primarily focused on this kind of scalable, kind of unscalable, and this full scale piece. This is so you have to be at least 10K MRR to be able to go to the GTM program. That's my main program. That's my biggest program. That's where I focus a lot of my time. So if you're in that stage, go to tkkader.com/GTM. It is application based. You just fill out your email, answer a couple of questions, then we'll get on a call. We want to make sure you're the right fit. I'll ask you a bunch of questions. I'll help you think through this strategy around your business. And if it's a fit, I'll make you an offer to join the program. That's kind of how it works. It's super straightforward. Now, that's for people that are above 10K MRR and getting to that scalable go-to-market machine. I also have a lot of founders that have reached out to me recently that have said, hey, we're below 10K MRR, we're trying to get to 10K MRR. The go-to-market program is too much scale, like how do we do the unscalable things? So this is why I also created my Sas Launch Program. The Sas Launch Program helps you in this phase where you go from 0 to 10K MRR. And it helps you actually really validate your value proposition, test the market, test your thesis, and get to initial revenues. So that program is completely self-service. It includes the framework, the training, just like the go-to-market program, and it includes a monthly coaching call, whereas the go-to-market program is a weekly coaching call. So it just requires different levels of involvement from me, but you still get access to work with me. So if you're in this unscalable stage, check out my launch program. That's tkkader.com/launch. All the details are in there. And if you're in above 10K MRR, you want a proven playbook to follow, you want a framework to follow, and you want the coaching, then go check out my go-to-market program, tkkader.com/GTM. Both those programs, I'll link to the details below. You can learn more about them. And based on what revenue stage you're on, you can join my program, work with me, and then we'll help you scale faster and get to the next stage of growth and navigate that Shawshank crawl to product market fit. So that's all I have for you today. If you got value from this video, be sure to smash that like button. The YouTube algorithm loves it, my team loves it, and I love it. Also comment below with a yes. If you have a fellow founder or a team member that would get value from this video, please share it with them. It would mean the world to us. We put a lot of love into these videos. And also, I drop an episode every 2 to 3 times a week, so be sure to the subscribe button and that bell icon if you haven't already. And lastly, remember, everyone needs a strategy for their life and their business. When you are with us, yours is gonna be unstoppable. I'm TK, and I'll see you in the next episode.